Hey, it's Brian with Reclaimed Republic. If this is your first time here, I'm a full-time eBay reseller and amateur YouTube content creator. On eBay, I sell everything. So I sell tools, toys, shoes, hats, and just about anything in between. You'll see some of those here today. If you're here for the thumbnail, we're going to get into that first and foremost, talk about a mistake I made just in the past couple days. And then we're going to get into worst sales, best sales, a bunch of details there, and all the lessons there for resellers. So let's get into the details. All right, if you're here for the thumbnail, we're going to get into that right away. So if you happen to see the video that I published on Monday, you might see some of this and scratch your head and go, wait a second, he said no more sourcing. So the video I filmed earlier this week, I actually did 2 takes. On the first take, and I shot it on my phone. This I'm shooting on a camera. I shot that one on my phone, and I don't edit those videos. So I was about 12 or 13 minutes into it, and I made like a weird mistake. I started fumbling my words, and I just started over. I got frustrated, and I just started the whole thing over. So on the first take on that video, I had actually included some verbiage about there's an exception to the not sourcing until I, get rid of my death pile, or actually the money mountain is what I'm going to call it now. And whenever I went through and did the second take of that video, I didn't say that again. And so now it's going to look like he just said he's not sourcing anymore, and now he's going to talk about sourcing. So it's going to seem a little bit odd, but just a mistake in the filming I did on Monday, and I was just getting frustrated with myself, and stuff happens. So I did do some sourcing last week. Last week. So we'll talk about that, and Saturday. So we'll talk about that a little bit here just right now. So my oldest son is on his way to college, and one of the colleges he's looking at is in Colorado, and my wife and I decided that for the trip, instead of taking one of our cars, we'd just rent a car. It was nice and comfortable, gets great gas mileage, and just rent a car. And then of course we had to pay for gas, and we went out to eat while we were there. Still significantly cheaper than if we were to fly, the 3 of us, even renting a car and paying for all the gas and food. But it was, still there's an expense to it. So we were talking about it, and she goes, we should just like go buy some stuff, go thrifting, and see if there's any estate sales, and see if there's any, what there is in Colorado. And I said, that's a great idea. We can use that to help offset the cost of the trip with the stuff that we buy. So we agreed on that, and found a couple places to go. And so we did that, and that was a lot of fun. I'm going to put a picture up right here to show all the items that we bought while we were out. So we went to three different places in total. Yeah, 3 places. So you're going to see, I'm going to circle the different items and where they came from. So the first place we went was an estate sale, and everybody was in the house looking at all this stuff, and I like to go for the garage first generally, because it's just completely random, the stuff that's out there. Usually there's some tools out there. And I walked out in this garage, and they had it must have been like a 25-watt light bulb in the garage, and it was so dark. Luckily, I always carry my flashlight all the time. Side story, this is an Olight flashlight. This has a flashlight, obviously, but also has, if you flip it, it has a little laser pointer also, but if you change the settings, it has a UV light, which I use to look for uranium glass whenever I'm out thrifting or estate sailing or wherever I'm at. So it comes in a lot of handy. And it's rechargeable. You don't have to change batteries. You just charge it and go back. I charge this thing about once a month maybe. Anyhow, went out in the garage, had my flashlight, so I was able to get a good look at everything, and I just started making a pile of tools on the floor. And I went out and grabbed somebody from the estate sale inside and asked them to come out and look at it. And she, I said, you know, what kind of deal can you make me? And she goes, well, all the tools, if they're not marked, are either $2 to $4. And I'm like, okay, well, which ones are which? And because only 3 of the things that I had picked up had a price tag on them. Everything else was not marked. So she went through it all. It was a little higher than I wanted it to be, really, but ended up paying $40 for this whole lot of stuff. And I was a little iffy. I was like, well, I think I can probably double my money on that, and you know, that'll be okay. And so I added it all up. It's all listed already, so don't have to worry about waiting for it to get it listed. And I've got it listed for around $334 for a $40 buy cost. There was some really good stuff in there. I didn't look anything up while I was there. I was just looking at Made in USA, old, in the package, whatever it was, and picked up some really good stuff. And then I actually bought a few other things that I kept for myself that I'll use for measuring and stuff, some really cool big yardsticks and stuff. Yeah, bought a few things to keep for myself as well. So that was a pretty good sale. Really enjoyed that one. After that, we went to, there's a chain of thrift stores up around there, around the Denver-ish area, called ARC Thrift Stores, ARC, and they were pretty high priced. So they were really, really big. It was big like a Goodwill. Well, not all Goodwills are big, but it was a big thrift store. But the prices were pretty high, and walked through, and the only thing I found was this one pot lid that it's listed as I think I put like Wagnerware ? Because it's not stamped Wagnerware anywhere, but it looks like that it's super, super heavy aluminum. And it was all by itself. So it was $1.49. So I picked it up. I think that could turn into some really good profit there. So that was a good find. Even the guy at the cash register, whenever he picked it up, he goes, wow, that is so heavy. And he looked at it and he goes, man, that's a really good deal. So anyhow, picked that one up. And then that was on Friday. And then on Saturday evening, my wife and I went to a local Goodwill and picked up all this stuff. So there was a handful of Revereware items. I picked up a Kirkland Signature saucepan, which the copper core has kind of a copper ring around the bottom that shows through. I think I've passed over some Kirkland Signature stuff before, just because I saw Kirkland and I was like, it's Costco brand, like. But you got to remember that Costco tends to pick like higher end products and make nicer products at affordable prices. So I stopped myself because I picked up the saucepan and the thing weighs a ton. It's so heavy. I think when I weighed it before I listed it up, it was like 6 pounds or so. It's a heavy saucepan. So I looked them up on eBay, and to my surprise, there's not a lot listed. There's not a ton sold because there's not a lot listed, but they sell for pretty good money. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out going forward for Kirkland Signature. So pick that up. That Corning Vision saucepan, but that's from France. That's not a USA. That's from France. That amber color. It's a really cool pattern to it. But picked all that stuff up at that Goodwill. The profit's not as great there, but paid $31, and I'm estimating about $160, $170 on the sale. So altogether, I'm estimating about $514 coming into my pocket, and after everything's said and done, $257 in profit. So $514 in sales, $257 in profit, and that's based on a $76 buy cost. So that's not going to pay for college, but it's going to help pay for the trip on the way there. And it was a good time going to visit the college with my son. And that's the first in-depth college visit we had done. We've done another local one that wasn't quite as in-depth, but it was a lot of fun, and glad we found some good stuff. So, all right, let's get into the sales for the week. We had 22 sales come in, but 26 items. So one more item than last week. Last week was 25 items. This week was 26 items, but 22 sales. So two buyers each bought 3 items, which was kind of nice. I typically don't get that. I may get somebody that buys 2 items, maybe, but it's unusual for me to get 2 different people to buy 3 items in a week. It's never happened. So total sales were $497.52. And after fees, shipping, ad fees, everything all in, the profit before taxes was $210.35, or a 42% profit margin. So the profit margin's suffering a little bit this week. I did have some personal items mixed in there, which whenever I sell personal items, I zero out the profit because I'm selling them for less than I paid for them. So there's no profit associated with those. And then there was higher ticket items that had a low profit margin, good profit dollars, low profit margin. So that means I spent a lot to get those items. So on the sales for last week, the number one source for the inventory was from estate sales. That was 12 of the 26 items, or 46%. I had 16 items, or 62%, sold on promoted listings, which means I paid an additional fee on top of the regular percentage that eBay takes. And then I had 10 items, or 38% of the items sold, go out on offers that I sent out to the buyers, prospective buyers. In all the promoted and offer-based sales, I had 4 items sold that were double dipped. So they were sold on a promoted listings, and they were sold also on an offer that I sent out to the prospective buyer. So I've talked about that before, but I've got that built into my pricing, so that doesn't hurt me whenever I do that. It's something that I expect and have it built in. So if you have any questions or about promoted listings or offers, anything like that, leave those down in the description or in the comments, and I'll make sure and answer those for you. So let's talk about the worst 5 sales last week. They're not all horrible, but there's definitely some lessons to be learned in here. And we're going to go from the fifth worst down to the very worst. So number 5, the 5th worst, is this Cuisinart dough blade. Picked this up at an estate sale liquidation facility. So I bought a whole Cuisinart food processor, a DLC8, for 50 cents. That's crazy. And I was so glad when I found it. It was on a shelf. It was tucked way back. You couldn't hardly see it. So I had my flashlight out because it was real dark in there. And I'm like looking through all the shelves. And as soon as I saw it, man, I just snatched that thing up. Because I just parted that whole thing out and sold it. I'm probably in about $125 to $140, somewhere in there, for all the sales. This was the very last piece to sell. So I put a cost on that item of 5 cents. That's probably even too much. But at 5 cents, sold it for $6.89 plus shipping. So I made $4.93. I made a 72% profit margin on that item. It's just really low profit for stocking an item. I would absolutely do that again. Anytime I buy one of those food processors, I part the whole thing out and I sell it piece by piece. And if I get another one, I'll have another one of these $6.89 plus shipping sales, because I'll sell that dough blade all over again. I think I took 4 pictures. Listing that thing took about 1 minute total. It's super fast. So next item is this Maxell. It is a mini cassette for a camcorder. Picked that up at an estate sale for 50 cents. Sold it for $4.89 plus shipping for a $2.85 pre-tax profit, or a 58% profit margin. These I probably wouldn't pick up again, not even for 50 cents, unless I can do them in bundles. I've sold a 2-pack of these before. Different style, but the same type item. So if I buy any more in the future, I'll probably hold them and I'll sell them as a bundle. So I can sell something for 10 or 12 bucks versus $4.89. All right. Third worst sell of the week is this Neff Mickey Mouse Boonie hat. This is a continuation of the if you happen to have seen any of my videos, the stuff that I bought from Ross, and I went a little bit crazy buying stuff, thinking, man, I'm going to sell the heck out of it, and I'm not doing that anymore. Paid $14 for this hat, ended up selling it for $19.89 plus shipping, and made a $2.69 pre-tax profit, or 14% profit margin. That is the last one of those. So glad to be gone from that. I still have a handful of things, hats and a couple pair of socks of different types left, but that's gone. So glad to have some money back. The second worst item is this DVD, new and sealed. It's a Left Behind series. It's the Tribulation Force DVD. This was free to me from a friend from church. Gave me a whole bunch of DVDs, and I'm selling them off, a few individuals and then a couple bundles. So paid nothing for it, sold it for $6.89 free shipping, which was the going rate for those on eBay. I made an 80-cent pre-tax profit, or a 12% profit margin. So glad to have that 80 cents. Keep the inventory going. And then the worst sale of the week is this Nerf rough cut 2x4 Nerf dart gun. I picked it up at a thrift store at a Goodwill here locally for $2, and I've had it sitting in my unlisted inventory, my Money Mountain, for several months. I listed it last week, got it sold. Whenever I looked, the price, I don't know if I misjudged the price originally, if I wasn't paying close enough attention, or if the pricing has come down. But I ended up selling it for $7.89 plus shipping. And shipping, I think, was like $9 for it. It was more than the actual gun. But whenever I listed it, I messed up on the size of the box that I was figuring that it would go in. And the box that I thought it would go in, it wouldn't go in there, not even diagonally. So I had to use a bigger box, which from the measurements of the box through the shipping rate up, and it just killed me. So I ended up paying a couple bucks extra on freight and lost 36 cents on the whole deal for a negative 5% profit margin. Losing 36 cents is a lot better than some of the other losses I've had recently, so I'm not too stressed out about that. Actually, I'm not stressed out about it at all. But the next time, I probably won't pick up the Nerf dart guns. I know there's some out there that are really valuable. That one just wasn't one of them. So, all right, now let's get into the best 5 for the week. This is the fun part. We get to talk about some better profit margins and better profit dollars, and see some really cool stuff here. So the 5th best sale of the week is this Action Leathercraft tool belt. This is a vintage piece. I picked it up at an estate sale. I was actually at the estate sale with my dad, and I saw the tool belt, and I held it up, and I was like, "Dad, it's like your tool belt." He's like, "Oh yeah, look at that." It's the same kind of tool belt he had. Maybe not the same brand, but the same style he had whenever I was growing up. But anytime we did any construction work or building anything, he'd have his tool belt on. But so I was going to buy, if it wasn't worth reselling, I was just going to keep it. But it was worth it. So I paid $3 for it at the estate sale. and sold it for $24.89 plus shipping. That one was in my unlisted inventory. I was just avoiding it because it was kind of a little bit bigger item. It wasn't a small, tiny item. And but took some pictures, got it listed up, got it out the door for a $15.91 pre-tax profit, or a 64% profit margin. All right, the next item is this set of steak knives, or they're not all steak knives, but they're all knives. Is this Chicago Cutlery 6-piece set with the block. Picked this up at a garage sale. Actually got it a couple years ago. I had it up for sale way too high, wasn't selling. I moved, I took it off eBay, put it in a bin right over here, and it's moved around from storage units to my house and in here, and finally just, took it out and got it listed up. Sold it within just a few days. I originally paid $6 for it and sold it for $29.89 plus shipping, which is an $18.62 pre-tax profit, or 62% profit margin. So it's a cool little set for a nice, well-built cutlery set, kind of a butcher type set. It's good value. All right, looking at number 3. So the third best sale of the week are these ashtrays. So these I got on an estate sale just a couple months ago, and I have had them listed. They're advertising, trucking from Dealers Transit Company, and they had a few different styles, and they were all in boxes. And I bought all of them they had. They had 5. I bought them all for $5 a piece. I really kind of overpaid for them, so the profit's not been awesome. But I sent offers out, so I've been sending offers as it, I get the availability. It says, hey, send an offer on this item. You have interested buyers. And last Friday, I sent out offers, and the same person bought all 3 of them, but not at the same time. It was very interesting. They bought one first thing in the morning, one a couple hours later, and then one like 3 or 4 hours later. And I sent all the offers at the same time. I'm pretty sure. So it was kind of odd. But anyhow, he sent me a message and asked if I would combine the shipping, which I did, and just shipped them all in one box. Figured out the difference between what he paid, what I paid, and sent him a refund, and sent him a message saying, hey, I sent you a refund, you'll see it. So everything went real smooth there. But paid $15 for the 3 ashtrays, sold them for $44.19 plus shipping for an $18.69 pre-tax profit, or 42% profit margin. I really should have paid about $2 a piece for those ashtrays, but I just I don't know. I saw some comps that were selling a little bit higher, but once I got into that specific type, I was kind of doing it on the fly at the estate sale. It was super packed. I was trying to get stuff before other people did because I was there right when they opened. And I probably let my emotions get in the way a little bit there, and didn't bargain on the price at all. All right, number 2, second best sale of the week, are these Fenton ashtray trinket dish, probably ashtrays. I've seen other people sell them as ashtrays, but it's a set of 4. These clear little dishes. I picked these up at an estate sale for $5 and got them out the door for $34.89 plus shipping. I actually picked them up at an estate sale that I was there all 3 days, and I picked them up on the 3rd day when everything was 75% off because they were originally $20. And I think people were passing them up because one of them, of the 4, had been used as an ashtray, and it was all nasty and dirty, black, smoky, just ash stuff all built up on it. And in my head, I was like, well, heck, for $5 I can just sell it as a 3-piece. But that one, with just a little bit of dish soap, it cleaned right up. It looked just like all the other ones, so it didn't hurt it at all. So got to sell it as a 4-piece. Got it out the door for a $22.35 pre-tax profit, or 64% profit margin. And then now down to the best sale of the week, with actually the lowest profit margin of the best 5, are these Saucony Kinvara 12 Lucky Clover running shoes. They're size 10, good size to sell. These were in unlisted inventory. Before I go on, those Fenton dishes were also in unlisted inventory. I just listed those last week. So the shoes were in unlisted inventory. I didn't list them for a long time on purpose because I had considered keeping them for myself. I thought they were cool shoes. But, you know, after pulling them out, I was like, why am I holding on to these? They've been sitting in unlisted inventory. I just hadn't touched them. So I have plenty of shoes. I think I'm into them for $60 plus tax, so about $65, and sold them for $119.89 plus shipping. So that was a good sale. Sold those so the profit was only a 30% profit margin, but a $35.48 pre-tax profit. Little side story to that one. Actually, there's some extra shoelaces that came inside in a little baggie. So they came with green. They were laced with green, and inside were these gold mesh shoelaces, and then a set of rainbow shoelaces. So think of, you know, Lucky Clovers, pot of gold, the end of the rainbow. So there's kind of whole theme there on those shoes. And when I went to list them, I noticed there was a bag in each shoe, and it kind of threw me for a loop. So I opened the bags, and I had a whole other extra set of those gold and rainbow laces. So I ended up listing those separate and sold those for $10 by themselves plus shipping. So I actually made a little more profit than it shows, but because I sold those laces. But that is all the sales for the week. I hope everybody is still seeing sales come through. I was a few sales shy, 2 sales shy of hitting 1% of inventory coming through. Was traveling a couple days last week and over the weekend, so I was delisting and selling similar. And whenever I was listing earlier in the week, I wasn't listing a ton because I was getting ready for the trip, but still had sales coming through. I have been watching some other folks online, and they're saying sales are a little bit slow, so I'm not very discouraged about it. I'm just going to keep plugging away, listing more items, getting the inventory up in the store, and just keep working it, taking offers, making offers, promoting my items, and just getting after it. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave those down below and I'll get right back to you. If you like content like this, I'm going to leave a link down below that shows other items that have sold recently and what I'm selling them for and all the profit associated with them and everything like that. But until next time, have a good day.